So let's get into this a little bit because this is kind of interesting. Lost writers Nick Carlton, Coos are reportedly working on a new Star Wars series. A new Star Wars series might be in the works, and this one could be from a very familiar pair of writers, according to trusted insider Jeff Snyder. Nick Coos and Carlton Coos are reportedly writing a new Star Wars television show. While Disney and Lucasfilm, by the way, this will if what I think's happening is happening, and Kathy is going to lose, this shit'll never happen. But we'll see. We'll see. While Disney and Lucasfilm haven't officially confirmed the project, Snyder has a strong track record when it comes to early blah, blah, blahs. He's a well-known name in television, known for co-creating and writing the hit mystery series Lost, which kept his audiences guessing as an emotional, mind-blowing, bending stories. His son, Nick, also a talented writer, worked on a lot of major stuff, blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing. If this rumor is true, the new Star Wars show could bring a very different style and tone to the franchise. And I think that is true, and I think that's probably what they're working for. So this is going on. And while this is going on, we had those rumors from Tony Gilroy talking about Star Wars horror, right? And then you had these comments from Hayden Christensen, which I find pretty interesting. Hayden Christensen says, there are still tons of stories to explore with Darth Vader. From where we left off after episode 3 and everything that has to reconcile after he's trapped in this new version of himself, there are just a lot of rich stories we could still tell. And I love that. And I think that's true. I mean, we're really close to that point where the nostalgia won't work for Star Wars anymore, and people would literally eye roll at a Darth Vader thing, especially after like Kenobi and stuff like that, right? However, we haven't quite reached that place yet. And I think Hayden is so beloved that his involvement with the thing, it even has me excited as somebody that's like, I don't know how much more Vader I need. If it's Hayden and he's really putting in a performance and it's a part of him hunting down Jedi or something like that, sure. You know, an extension of the Kenobi show. Sure. I could be down with this. Okay. Now, how do all of these things tie together? We don't know that they tie together. Okay. But let's just imagine that they do. Well, what if it's a Vader show that's elevated genre, right? A little bit like Andor, which makes me cringe, but a lot of you guys love. What if it's elevated genre from lost talent, really talented writers, that has a horror vibe, and it's Hayden and Vader? I mean, that's a hell of a pitch. You know what I mean? Like, that's a hell of a pitch. And as somebody that, I don't just not like Andor. I hate it. I despise it. I reject it. But even I would be a little interested in Hayden, Vader, elevated genre. That's an interesting proposition. So I don't know. I guess if this is going the way I think it is, this would probably be like a KK idea, and you know, maybe a little outside of the wheelhouse of like what Dave would like or whatever, right? But even that presents kind of an interesting opportunity. This could be something that could potentially do what Andor is doing as far as the critical acclaim, and you know, a lot of the industry people are very high on Andor. But it would also be the Star Wars character, the Star Wars actor, right? And it's the Force and Sith and mysticism and cool shit like that. Like, that's kind of cool, you know? So I guess on theme for the past couple of days, and really on theme with the conversation we had yesterday, I don't love everything that's going on with Star Wars. I certainly have my issues with Kathy, you know, with Gilroy, with Andor, and all of that. But at the same time, let's say Kathy wins. Because let's be real, it's a very real possibility that she wins and she Emperor Palpatine's this shit for the next 5 years. That's totally possible. Probably the most probable outcome, to be honest. You know, if we're rooting for Dave to win, we're rooting for the rebels, frankly. The Empire's probably going to win. But even within the Darth KK Empire, there could be projects that might actually be pretty cool. and potentially take Star Wars in an interesting new direction, give us something fresh, like a new twist on an old lemon sort of a thing. And so I wanted to bring this up because despite all the turmoil and craziness that's going on with Star Wars, they have a couple of things going for them. They have some assets, and bringing Hayden back is a huge, huge asset. So this is kind of cool. It's kind of exciting. So I wanted to bring this up, and I would just love to know, what do you guys think? You know, what do you think about this show? Would you prefer it to be done with Dave in a different sort of more traditional vein? Or do you think it could work getting outside people and doing like elevated genre with a character like Vader? I'd love to know what you think about that. So there you have it on that. Now, let me just, before we move on into some of the DCU stuff, and then we'll get into Q&A, I will just talk a little bit about Andor, okay? So, obviously, Andor releases tonight, and it's going to release 3 episodes, and look, you know, multiple things I could say, multiple conversations. I guess what I'll say is, you know, many people have asked me, you know, either in the Discord or on Twitter or in the DMs or whatever, you know, are you going to cover Andor? Would you do a watch party for Andor? All of these things, despite all of my, like, I literally shit on this thing every second and possible, every time I get a chance. And I, like, really dislike it. And so, despite all of that, there's still people that just think, like, maybe I should watch it regardless, or I have a responsibility to, or, you know, they just really want me to, which I understand all of those stances. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to watch it at all. I'm not going to watch it. I'm not even going to watch it to confirm the things I already know about it. So I'm not even going to watch it, man. And look, it's one of those things where it's totally fine if, you know, you're a person out there that's going to watch it and enjoy it. And frankly, like, I hope that Star Wars fans get something out of it and enjoy it for what it is. And like, that's all good. I don't want to, you know, yuck your yum or like make you question, you know, your own feelings towards it or whatnot. But at the same time, like, I'm just frankly at a place where, you know, I'm just not going to do stuff that I don't find really enjoyable. Now, that's not to say that every part of the gig I love, and there's always unsexy stuff that any successful person has to do. That's just how life is. You have to do things you don't want to do. However, to cover an entire show, right, it takes time. It takes a lot of energy. It takes like mental focus and all of that. And it's just literally not always worth it. Like, frankly, Daredevil was ridiculous, and it was embarrassing. And I felt silly because, dude, the viewership numbers on Daredevil, unless something changes in the last few weeks, the viewership numbers on Daredevil were abysmal. Like, they were so bad. And I could see it in our own numbers. I could see it in other channels' numbers. Like, there just wasn't a lot of interest for it. And, man, like, there's nothing worse than committing yourself to something, because I was so excited for it. And I committed to doing the watch parties for that, and then like just kind of started regretting it each week. And that's no way to be a fan. That's no way to make content. It's no way to live. So I will not be covering Andor in any real way. I'll talk about the controversy because it will be in the first 3 episodes, so it'll happen tonight. And you know, I'll talk about the controversy a bit tomorrow, but you guys already know where I stand with it. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's disgusting. But I also don't think you're like a horrible person if you disagree with me. If you disagree with me and you think like this is the place to have that kind of conversation, or this is the kind of elevated genre where a nuanced take on that, this, that, second, and third, it's all good, baby. Like, you feel how you feel, I'm going to feel how I feel. But basically, I'm just too old for this shit, man. I am not going to... Like, why would I do that, really? When you really sit back and think about it, and you might be like, well, that's your job. Well, frankly, guys, the reason these shows, I think, are not actually being watched the way they used to be, and the content around them is nowhere near what it used to be. I remember when Heavy Spoilers would do breakdowns and videos about Loki and hit 1 million fucking views. 1 million views a video. 1 million. And now I think those same kind of shows pull like 200-300K. And that's the upper end of what channel sizes can get from that content. So like the whole space is like just dramatically come down, right? Well, part of the reason I think that these shows are not actually being viewed as much is because the fandom itself, by and large, has moved past them. And the way the fans derive most of their fun and their engagement in the thing is actually not even tied to the content as much anymore, which I've spoken about at great length and in, you know, hopefully nuanced ways over the past couple of months. But like what I'm telling you is this idea that you should just cover the shows and cover the movies, I don't even think it lines up with what you really should do as a content creator if you're just looking at how the people in your niche are actually acting towards videos, right? So, yeah, man, that's a very long-winded way to say it, but yeah, I'm not watching Andor. I'm not going to cover Andor. I reject it. I don't think it's Star Wars. And that's okay. I can do that. Like, even if I wasn't a content creator, I can do that. I should be allowed to do that. So that's my stance on that. Thanks for watching. And if you like this clip, smash a like on the actual video and subscribe to this channel. That way more of these clips get into your feed. I've also linked the full episode below if you want to check out the entire thing, including the Q&A we do with fans. You can also watch this show live. We do it live Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And you can also find all of my content, including the videos I put on my main YouTube channel, on the podcast feed.